Time to talk a little football. Shane Bieber joined us yesterday. Get a few quarterback questions out there for you. First, before we do it, let's set it up. Elijah and I had Shane on, as we said, yesterday, and amongst many of the questions we asked was, hey, you now have a Heisman candidate, a legit one, and, you know, on pretty much everybody's top 10 list going into the season. So, you know, what's that like for you right now?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, you talk about here's a guy that last year at this time nobody really was talking about, and if you looked at some of those preseason rankings of quarterbacks, most of them I think had him probably 16th in the league going into last season a year ago at this time, and now it's the complete opposite. So the great news is he's such a great young man. He's got a great humility about himself. He's very hungry and driven to work and get better, and he doesn't let that go to his head. But certainly it's something that's different because of the attention that's on him nationally, and his life has certainly changed in the last year, just in regards to, you know, how recognizable he is and what he's accomplished. And he's got a great family and a support group around him for sure. But, you know, somebody was in my office literally before I jumped on the phone with you guys, and we were talking about the upcoming team, and I said, you know, I'm excited because anytime you have a quarterback, you got a chance to be successful, and we certainly have a quarterback in him. And the great news is, Jay, I mean, you guys know this, y'all follow us extremely closely, obviously, is, you know, he's just scratching the surface, and he continued to get better as the season went on last season, and he's just going to continue to get better throughout the offseason into 25. I really like, you know, the relationship that he and Mike Shula, our new offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, have, and the way that they've been working, and really, you know, fired up to see what's next for Lenoris and how he continues to grow as a quarterback and football player.
So the other day, Ari Wasserman, who I like Ari, and I am a fan of the Ari and Andy show, or the Andy and Ari, whatever they call it. They come on almost every morning on the On3 YouTube channel. But Ari put out his like preseason All-America list, just one, you know, spot, you know, but he had one quarterback, and it was DJ Lagway. That's for America, not for the SEC. And that's fine. I'm not here to. It's February, man. I don't even care if you do this in October. We get all American lists for real and Heisman winners for real in December. But it made Elijah and I this morning think a little bit about, okay, there's one. And look, I think DJ Lagway is going to be a very good quarterback. I do. But, you know, for Carolina fans, we thought about putting a poll up, and we know around here, if we put a poll up that said which returning, and we gave you 4 and put Lenoris on the list, Lenoris is going to get like 98% of the vote.
You're going to run away with it.
And so it just made us think, for the purpose of looking at how, and I may try to flash poll this on Twitter in just a minute, but if we put Lenoris to the side for a second here locally, all right, who are you looking at in the SEC? Who would you want as your starting quarterback? If you're, you know, I sometimes don't like the notion of if you're building a team, but it's the right way to phrase it, I suppose. You know, who you building around?
Or here's a good hypothetical here. So you are a college football team. You're an offensive coordinator, and you have what we'd call a replacement level offensive line and wide receiver, running back, tight end weapons, right? Mm-hmm. Replacement level. There, it's nothing spectacular. You need a quarterback, and you can only choose from the ones that will currently be starting, or maybe, you know, battling for a starting spot in the SEC. That's the pool of quarterbacks you have that will be playing in 2025. You got to pick one to elevate your replacement level offense.
Right.
Who are you taking? Yeah.
And again, around here, look, I think a lot of people are going to choose Lenoris, and that's I might as well. But here's some other choices in the conference, in no particular order, because I basically just wrote these all down as I was listening to Shane's answer. Gunnar Stockton, Nico Iamaleava, DJ Lagway, Garrett Nussmeier, Arch Manning, Diego Pavia, Jackson Arnold. And there's others that are going to be.
Taylon Green from Arkansas, I think, is coming back next year.
Yeah, and I mean, there's others. I can't remember who.
Marcel Reed from Texas A&M.
Yeah, he actually finished strong. He's your guy from Nashville. Yes.
Yeah, Montgomery Bell Academy.
And I can't remember who does Lane have?
Austin Simmons. He was on the team last year as the backup. He will be elevated to
All
the
right,
starter.
and Bama and Kentucky, I don't know.
Yep, Bama's probably going to be Ty Simpson, I assumed.
But you're probably looking more at these guys, right?
Yes,
these
certainly.
that have proven something last year in some form or fashion. Or in the case of Arch Manning, God bless you, son, and I hope you live up to 80% of the hype, and it won't be. Remember, Arch Manning will be criticized heavily. Arch Manning didn't come up with the hype. Arch Manning
He didn't choose his last
didn't
name.
hype himself. Yeah, if anything, that's what he should have done. When he was about 16, he should have gone and changed his name. Yeah,
It probably wouldn't hurt.
Arch Smith. Just
Arch Davis.
just something, right?
Arch St. Louis would have been.
But again, not that when we say we're putting Lenoris to the side, it's not to say he's not worthy of being your first choice. But around here, if you're going to pretty much automatically just gravitate toward your guy, and again, zero issue with that whatsoever, who else might you be looking at? To be a little bit more objective about it, how you look around the league. And this was interesting to me. I told you this morning, and I think I'm sticking with it. If I'm not choosing Lenoris, I think I'm going Garrett Nussmeier.
I think that's fair. Yeah. And that's really because honestly, in terms of passer, like pocket passer, he's going to be the best pocket passer in the SEC.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a really good arm. He's really accurate. Decision making can be wonky sometimes. He did throw as his fair share of interceptions last year.
Like he believes he can make every play.
Yes,
and
he's got that in him.
I got no problem with that.
On a scale of 1 to Jameis Winston, it's not all the way.
No,
there,
his ratio is still pretty good.
Yeah, it's still probably in the middle of that scale.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, honestly, that's not a bad pick at all. I really think Garrett Nussmeier will be a guy who is going to be a solid quarterback at the next level. But given, I guess, the hypothetical, if I have a replacement level offensive line, I need somebody who's going to be able to make a play on the run. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Lenoris Sellers not being part of this equation, which if he was, I might lean Lenoris because we saw what Lenoris did when a pocket breaks down.
Yeah.
But in this scenario that I've outlined, I really narrow it down to Lagway or Arch Manning. I mean, Nico Iamaleava could be a really good quarterback, but he requires a clean pocket. Mm-hmm. He's a really solid scrambler, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think I would put him at the level of being able to make a throw on the run the same way Arch did in select games. Granted, small sample size. His only SEC start was against the worst team in the conference, and he did throw for 325 against them for what that's worth. So I would probably, because I know more about DJ Lagway, and I think DJ Lagway really came along, kind of like Lenoris did towards the end of the year, really came along and gave Florida a lot. I think I would lean Lagway.
Yeah. You make a good point about needing someone, again, with the parameters you've set.
But if you said, I give you an All-American offensive tackle, all right, I think I'd take Nussmeier too.
Yeah. And again, Nussmeier is so, I think, already NFL ready in terms of what his best strengths are, because he throws a beautiful football. And we know his dad's an NFL assistant coach and has
NFL
been,
coordinator now.
Yeah, coordinator.
Elevated.
And so he's got that in him. But I'll be, again, the Ari Wasserman choosing DJ Lagway stirred up a lot of people, and that's fine. Look, that's part of what you're doing here. And Ari, and the thing is, Ari is he's a really nice guy. There are plenty of people in our business who love to push a button. I think Ari would just as soon have all buttons be at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean.
Right. I think he just gives an honest, an honest take. I think a lot of people really think this way about DJ Lagway. A lot of people think very highly of him.
Yeah, I don't think Ari has any interest in pushing anybody's buttons.
No, absolutely. Especially when it comes to ranking quarterbacks in the month of February.
Right. But Lenoris, so I tell you what, we'll try to flash poll this thing so that we can do. And speaking of polls, we'll come back on the other side and give you the updated results. If the CFP expands to 14 or 16 schools with conferences guaranteed a certain number of spots, do you like the idea of play-in games to determine who gets into the tournament beyond the conference champions? Yes, more football. No, use the rankings. We'll give you the updated results when the postgame show returns. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of the Postgame Show here on a Wednesday afternoon. Tomorrow on the program, we'll start getting you really ready for Carolina Clemson baseball, and we'll talk a little Carolina women's basketball. Final road game of the regular season tomorrow night in Oxford.
Q1 game.
Yeah, Dawn had some interesting things to say. I mean, I think she might be starting to give whatever the speech looks like,
I mean, this is the time. I mean, I did see, where she said today, you can't wait until the SEC championship to start playing your best ball. You can't wait until the bracket's unveiled to start playing your best ball. You got to start doing that now.
Yeah.
It doesn't magically happen overnight. You got to be able to make sure you are in that form by the time you get to that tournament.
A couple of poll questions that we ran today. First off, if the college football playoff expands to 14 or 16 schools with conferences guaranteed a certain number of spots, do you like the idea of play-in games to determine who gets into the tournament beyond conference champions? A, yes, that's more football. Or B, no, use the rankings. Final results, 55.6% of you said yes. Give me more football, 44.4. Say, nope, you've already played. How did you finish? Let's rank them accordingly. We also have another poll question that we ran today based on some quarterbacking things that were a lot of fun today.
Yep, this one's at 107.5 The Game. Outside of Lenore Sellers, which returning SEC quarterback would you choose for your team if you had an average offensive line and skill position players? Garrett Nussmeier, DJ Lagway, Arch Manning, or other, in which you're supposed to comment, but 4.7% voted other and did not comment. We did have one comment that says 0, and I'm sorry, at JMark1188. 0 is not a football player. That is a digit. So I don't think I agree with your assessment. But
you wouldn't. So wait. So he doesn't even want a quarterback. That's what it sounds like.
If I'm reading between the lines, now when you just respond with one word, you're leaving a lot up to interpretation.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he just means the digit.
Okay.
0.
Do we know any quarterbacks that wear 0?
No, or that's named 0, like the character in Holes. I don't know. I mean, 0 didn't look like, in the movie. I mean, also he was really young, probably like 12 years old.
Yeah, I'm not putting him behind that line.
No, not an average offensive line. No,
right,
I mean, even if he had a decent arm, I still don't think I'd consider him.
Plus, you're like 5 feet tall at that age.
Yeah, and 0 is smaller than a lot of the people at that camp with him. So I don't love his measurables.
It's a good movie, though.
Great movie. Our man's going out on a real limb there. But in terms of the quarterbacks available on the poll here, Arch Manning getting 40.7% of the vote. DJ Lagway close behind him at 36%. Garrett Nussmeier at 18.6%.
Read me the percentages again. I'm sorry. I was
too busy evaluating 0
I was trying
from
to hide
Holes
my
as a
laughter
college
from the
football
camera.
quarterback discussion. Arch Manning, 40.7%, leading the way.
Okay.
DJ Lagway at 36%. Garrett Nussmeier at 18.6%.
Okay. I would have chosen Nussmeier in that exercise. I get why people would choose the others as well. And I thought the point you made was good about how to evaluate these guys. And you were right. Nussmeier, of the three mentioned, and again, the reason we took Lenoris out is just because it's a local thing, and we're not ragging on anybody because we probably could have easily chosen Lenoris ourselves.
The more I think about it, the more I think if I included Lenoris in here, I'd probably take Lenoris.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, but I just wanted to not. I wanted y'all as football fans. That's what I asked Elijah to do. I just wanted y'all as football fans to give me something a little bit more objective. It's not to deny Lenoris an opportunity. Lenoris is a legitimate Heisman candidate.
Yes,
so
and we're not giving out an award for this.
Yeah.
So the winner of this poll isn't getting anything.
Yeah, I just wanted y'all's kind of
sorry, Arch.
Early off-season evaluation of what else is out there, because I think this is going to be, this is the beauty of college football, especially, and the way conferences work. This is going to be a hell of a year for quarterbacks in this conference. Some years you get a year where it's like, this isn't going to be that year.
Nope.
This is a great year for quarterbacks.
Dude, even some of the transfer quarterbacks, I mean, we didn't add John Mateer, who's come in from Washington State to be the quarterback at Oklahoma. That kid put up some silly numbers at Washington State and was genuinely really fun to watch. There's a good chance he comes in here and becomes the best quarterback in the league.
And again, Jackson Arnold, who left Oklahoma because they thought he was going to be the answer, and why they let Dylan Gabriel go, and he's at Auburn now.
He got benched last year.
I like Lagway, and Nico's not on that list. Pavia is coming back. I mean, I think it's a hell of a year for quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference, and I'm excited about it, man. But
Austin Simmons at Ole Miss could be pretty good. They're very high on him.
Yeah, but to the point about Nussmeier, he's not a mobile guy. He's NFL ready, in my opinion. I'm almost surprised he could have gone, right? He could have chose to come back, and maybe you tweak a few things. I got no problem with that either. But and again with Arch, I am pulling for that kid. And again, there will be a lot of people in this country that are cynical sports fans, and I know how it works. He's a bust. He didn't put the pressure on himself. And, we're not serious, but we were joking earlier, like, man, just change your name to Arch Smith, or you said Arch Brown, I think you said, or Davis.
Davis.
You said Arch Davis. Yeah, just go do it that way, because the last name, and, look, all three brothers are amazing athletes. The only thing, Arch's dad, Cooper, just had a horrible neck injury and had to give up football, kind of like the Sterling Sharp injury. Like, hey man, you get hit one more time the wrong way, and the
results could be catastrophic.
That's doom. You don't need that in your life. But all three of Archie Manning's boys were amazing. I mean, Cooper would have been a receiver, but he was a heck of an athlete.
Which that's why Arch is probably such a great athlete. I mean, you watch Arch Manning run with the football, and you watch Eli and Peyton, like those clips of them running with the football.
Right.
Like, he looks like a gazelle, right? In the side by side.
Well, and Archie could run, and that's what's funny is that Peyton's all big and tall, and Eli just, he can sling it, but
Peyton ran like he hadn't stretched in 10 years. The stiffest quarterback scramble on the planet.
Thanks again to Seth Emerson for joining us, talking SEC football. Good stuff today. Again, a lot of basketball and baseball on tomorrow's program. For Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. We thank you for being with us as well, and we'll do it all again tomorrow at 3 o'clock. See ya.
.107.5 The Game, broadcasting live